This is wonderful. Not only did I hear this marvelous music and singing and praying, but I was given a lot of power and energy because I was sitting right in front of this bass drum. So every time, boom, boom, I'm getting full of it, boom, boom. So I'm ready now. You have done a good job in getting me ready, sir. What a joy it is, though, to be here in this pulpit this morning at the Magnolia Missionary Baptist Church. Thank you, Reverend Johnson, for inviting me to share your pulpit and your sermon time today. And our Unitarian Universalist congregation is pleased to be with you here. They've taken a risk in coming into a little different kind of worship style, and I praise them for that too. But they are pleased to be here with Magnolia Baptist today, even as the service is a little longer than ours usually is. I was also
longer and louder.
Amen. We can learn something from this, I think, especially taking up 2 offerings. Amen. I was also honored to be able to share a prayer for unity at the NAACP Youth Prayer Breakfast yesterday morning. And at the end of that glorious occasion, Reverend Johnson shared some words about community that challenged me. He said that we'd all be hearing a lot of that word community batted around in our churches and synagogues, houses of worship, other forums on the television in the next few days. And he said, but it would often be kind of meaningless and just self-congratulatory, as if we'd already achieved it. Well, that may not be exactly what you said, but that's kind of what I took from it.
I like it. Amen.
So my challenge today is for sharing about community with you, and hopefully that it will not be meaningless.
Yes.
I'm going to try, Reverend Johnson.
God bless you.
When I was completing my doctorate in the late 70s, some of my professors were puzzled that my then husband Fred and I were returning to Statesboro and to Georgia Southern College. They said, "Don't you want to teach in a university?" Well, we replied, well, maybe we'll just go back to Georgia Southern and work with others and help make it a university.
All right.
And we did. Georgia Southern University.
Eagles.
Yeah. Eagles wings we soar. Yeah.
That's right.
And similarly, when I was completing my time in seminary, some folks said, "Are you sure you want to go back to that town in southeast Georgia? Don't you want to pastor a congregation in a more progressive community?" And I thought, well, here we go again. And I replied, well, hopefully I can go back and help others in encouraging Statesboro to be a more progressive community. And here we are all together today trying to do just that. Besides, I couldn't go anywhere else. I'm a place-centered person, and Statesboro is my home.
Amen.
Like some of you, I was born right here, back in 1950. Now, I'll give you a couple of moments to do the math. So, I grew up with Jim Crow laws, but of course, I was among those privileged by those laws. Nevertheless, I noticed. I shared with my congregation last week about my experience at the Dairy Queen in line with my dad when I questioned him about the need for the 2 lines. You remember those 2 lines, Johnny? Okay. He told me that the colored people were in one line and they got chocolate ice cream. And we were in the other line and we were white, so we got vanilla ice cream in our line. Well, of course, that Dairy Queen didn't have but one kind of ice cream back then, didn't have dip cones. I didn't know that, though. So, of course, I told him I want chocolate. He told me I was white and I got vanilla, and I would just have to accept that because that's the way things were. Mm-hmm. And I didn't question much about the differences after that. It was kind of metaphorical in a way, that's just the way things were. Jim Crow laws were not just about separating folks, though. I can also recall our old worn-out textbooks being boxed up at Mattie Lively, which was my childhood elementary school. And as I was watching the folks boxing them up, I asked them what they were going to do with them. And they said, "While we're taking them over to the colored elementary school for those children to use there. And they were smiling like they were right proud of what we were doing. Separate but equal was never the case in Statesboro, Georgia, nor anywhere else. These old Jim Crow laws, though, and practices were designed to oppress people and keep them in their places by denying them all kinds of privileges. Then in the 60s and the 70s, with the help of the civil rights movement that we're celebrating today too, and those other kinds of things that were going on, those laws, thank goodness, were thrown out. And Jim Crow was no more, at least not officially and legally. But you know, change is not that easy for some folks. And we still have lots of prejudices and discrimination here in Statesboro, don't we? Yeah. Reverend Johnson asked me to speak on building a beloved community in Statesboro. And I thought, that building is going to take some hard work based on some of the hateful comments I've heard in this town recently. And especially if we're thinking about Dr. King's vision of the beloved community. According to the King Center website, Dr. King's vision of a beloved community is one in which, and listen to this, poverty, hunger, and homelessness will not be tolerated because standards of human decency will not allow it. Racism and all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice will be replaced by an all-inclusive spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood in the beloved community. In the beloved community, disputes will be resolved by peaceful conflict resolution and reconciliation of adversaries. And love and trust will triumph over fear and hatred. That's the beloved community. That's the ideal. But is it possible? I don't know that we can ever be there 100%, but we can move toward it. Just because something's hard to do doesn't mean it's not worth doing. So how are we here in Statesboro going to do this? Well, perhaps we should begin right here with us.
Yes.
For indeed, if we are honest and open about it, probably everyone sitting here today has to work through some of their prejudices and biases that perhaps in our head we even know it's not right, but it gets deeply ingrained in us. And we have to work and pray and gain greater understanding in order to move toward redemption. Yes, the isms and the phobias are still present in Statesboro, though hopefully to a lesser degree in this room. But it's hard. It's hard to know that we are privileged in certain ways when we're swimming in that privilege. Now, when I grew up, I never thought much about being white. I didn't have to. So sometimes our prejudices don't seem wrong. They may even seem natural if we're in the group doing the oppressing. It's only after our awareness has been raised and we try to walk in another's shoes, either through hearing their stories or sharing in their lives, that we begin to understand. So, the more Hispanic people and people from other parts of the world that I get to know, really know, helps to diminish my xenophobia and prejudices. And the more gay folks who are out and who I come to know and to love diminishes my homophobia. The more I get to know people of other faiths or of no particular faith at all and work with them to help and heal and nurture our world and this community, the more tolerant and accepting I become. As that little children's song goes that we sing sometimes, the more we get together, the more we get together, the happier we'll be.
That's it.
And that is exactly what our two congregations are doing. Here we are, Unitarian Universalists, people with many varying beliefs, theologies, and worldviews, worshiping today with the Baptists. When you had Reverend Johnson's installation recently, the theme that I heard was everybody was welcome. Yes. That's what I heard. It's on your sign out there. I saw it. Everybody welcome. And that spirit of inclusivity is one thing that our two congregations have in common. But we don't just get together on occasions like this. We get together to serve and to make a difference in this community. I don't know if you saw it in your order of service here, but there's a nice picture of some of our members, and this was just some of them. Some of our members and some of your members that came together this past Tuesday and served a good meal to over 120 people at the Louetta Park for our Feeding Statesboro. What a great partnership that is. And we had a good time doing so, didn't we? And also getting to know those folks, sitting and talking with them, and that we were serving. And we're also trying to tackle some very difficult problems like mass incarceration. There's something in here about the new Jim Crow. We welcome you to join us with that. We've got a study group focusing on Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow. And together we can work not only with each other, but with other groups focusing on other matters of importance to our community. Yes. I'm so pleased that you all are doing this for Safe Haven. What a wonderful ministry that is. Yes, we do have our differences. And we celebrate our diversity. But we come together in love.
That's right.
We are all children of the same family. And together, and with the help of others, we can build that beloved community even here in Statesboro.
Oh, yeah.
We can. The late Reverend Marjorie Bowen Sweetley wrote a piece that's in the back of our Unitarian Universalist hymnal, which is a favorite of mine. She was one of our wonderful African-American Unitarian Universalist ministers who had a way to put words together that seemed to bring people together. This piece was written as a responsive reading, and the congregational response, your response, is this: it will not matter. We've got to practice that together. Say it with me. It will not matter. So here are her words. If, recognizing the interdependence of all life, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. If you are black and I am white, it will not matter. If you are female and I am male, it will not matter. If you are older and I am younger, it will not matter. If you are progressive and I am conservative, it will not matter. If you are straight and I am gay, it will not matter. If you are Christian and I am Jewish, it will not matter. For if we join spirits as brothers and sisters, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened, and that does matter. In this spirit, she says, we build community and move toward restoration. And in this spirit that is here in this room, perhaps, we can build the beloved community in Statesboro. Oh, may it be so. Amen.
Come on and be a witness